phones. No phones.
What one of your babes are you talking to?
The one I'm married to.
Alright. Get some bass going.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm really loving that bass.
When are you gonna come off your mobile phone?
I'm trying.
What is it? You arranging tea time? Dinner?
No. Go.
Right.
You're gonna do your best to be real.
I'm going to try.
Play it natural.
I'm not going to play it natural.
Yeah.
The main thing I want to do is not do ums and ahs.
I think you should not try and avoid that because when you do that, you talk very slowly.
I have to switch off my ums and ahs. Hello, listeners. This week we are showing some foreground model making. We're actually going to do some building of stuff.
I know, right? It's been months.
It's been
months of promises.
We've been doing the garage for ages to rebuild it. Finally, we're going to do some actual crafting, model making. So we've got in front of us a few of these foreground buildings. I'm going to switch to their website now, which will allow us to see materials that they do. So if I just press the button. Okay, so this is Foreground. Stoic Arms.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is some of their fantasy terrain they make. I mean, it's not super cheap, as you can see, that very large one, £130, but I find them to be made really, really nicely, and they're great kits to put through. So I'm going to hit the home here and see if we can find the fantasy items. Excellent, here we go. So I've got here, which I can show if we flip the camera over. One of these bad boys. You can see they're made of separate components, so you can put little people inside. And you could glue it together, but I mean, why when you can reuse it? And then you've got the different sections inside too.
And it locks in really well, right? Once
yeah,
it's
pretty
together.
much. Yeah, pretty much. They do.
Good.
They do. If I put that one down. Yeah, it does have a nice locking sort of bottom to top, which you could glue. And yeah, nice detailing inside. But we'll show a close-up of the detailing as well in a moment. I'll just flip back to the specific ones that I want to put together. And I think this is what we've got, the Damaged House kit. Yes.
Ruined Dwelling 1.
Ruined Dwelling 1. That is it. So here you go, Ruined Dwelling 1. As you can see, it's a reasonably expensive kit at nearly 50 quid, and comes in different sections. Has a nice stone base there by the looks, which I quite like the look of that stone base, which will look nice on the terrain table. And so essentially it's in their Mordanburg range, and instead of being complete, it's sort of shattered and broken up. Right, so that's the view there. When we could go to this sort of unboxing view now, I reckon. Right. Okay, so right, let's get some things out of the way so that we can show off what we've got. The ones we made earlier in the back, and the actual box itself here. So here we go. That's the, as it comes, thin pack with everything in there, flat packed, so handy for shipping.
What's there on the back? Does it have instructions or anything on that?
Oh yeah, it does. It has a set of instructions on the back, but the detailed instructions, because I've made quite a few of these, are inside, and they're like A4 printouts. Right, so if I now switch to the camera zoom in view, I'll let you do the cutting.
Yeah.
So, right, so there, and then there. Okay.
So what have I got to do? Cut these tabs down the bottom here?
Yeah, that's the technical bit done. Ooh, cool. I actually think unboxings are a bit naff.
Yeah?
Well, you know, as in the ones where they open loads of electronics and it's just bits of paper.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All I want to see is the bit where they pull the label off the screen. Just give me that for the entire time.
A label tear.
Yeah.
Label tears are good. Nice.
Okay.
Right, I might level this up a bit better here. I must say the foam bubble wrap does help the storage. I need to say to viewers now that I have had this in this box for probably... Oh no, I got it at Salute this year.
This year?
This year. Typically I...
it's like 2-year wait, minimum.
Yeah, typically I buy something like this and have great ideas for this amazing campaign I'm going to do. It's going to look great. And then I just leave it in the box unopened. There's the instructions. Okay.
Put this back in here with this and this.
Yeah. Actually, I tend to use the boxes during construction, only just a little tip, which we won't do at the moment because we're doing the video. Toss the box. But I do keep the box because I don't unpop everything, because you've got to... When we look at the guides as we get into this, everything is everything's numbered.
Page 2.
So
Page 1.
Page 1. So everything is numbered, so you do need to carefully view them. So if I go into this bit here and try not to jump about too much, but there you go. Move my marker over A1, A2, A3, and I only pop them out from the MDF when required, because if you popped everything out, some of the pieces are very similar, in which case you'll just get lost, especially if you're building one of their larger kits. Okay.
With the larger kits, do they section it off into bags like Lego?
No.
It's just all going to be in one box.
But these plates, if you take them out of the plastic bag...
Yes, I shall.
Go for it. They tend to keep things of a similar theme on each one of those plates.
Oh, it's upside down. Has it got numbers on it? Yeah.
There you go. Those are the numbers that we were looking at on the guide.
Oh, it smells like burnt wood.
It does smell like burnt wood.
Oh no, pieces are already out. Lost forever.
That does happen. Sometimes you lose a couple, so you have to know where you are. Oh, you can see the roof tiles there. Very nice. And some broken up bits of wall. Now there's the base flagstones that I noted on their website, which are quite nice. And you've got more of the structure of the building.
I think the wood's really nice. Like, it's quite a fine grain, even though it's kind of like the sheet MDF type.
It is, yeah, it's quite fine grain. And MDF is medium density fiberboard. And a lot of these buildings are made out of that, just particle fibre that's compressed together into a board.
Okay, so you go in there. Let's put him back so we know.
One of the missing pieces found.
I've lost the other piece. Okay, there it is.
The other piece goes down here. Look,
right.
There's that bad boy, fits in there.
Okay, cool. So now we know where all the things are.
Yeah. Here we go, back in the frame. We have an announcement to make, which is feel very lucky to be in the latest Miniatures Wargames magazine, or just Miniature Wargames magazine. It's a magazine that has a good range of historical and sci-fi fantasy features, guides, materials, all other sort of exciting, interesting things in there, and news articles. And what we've got in there, apart from lots of good content, which I've been reading through, is an article on the Imperial Skies rule set, which is my rule set. And if you buy the magazine, there's a link in there to some materials for the download of the Spanish Fleet, which I'll grab hold of it there, it's getting free of me. So you've got some of the Spanish Fleet cards, which is one of Brigade Model's newest ranges for the rule set. And you see some nice content material on a game we had, showing a kind of mini campaign day that we had where we were using the rules. So there we are, it's worth buying one of these. Some great articles in there, full colour, good magazine. Okay, I'll just show you one that I've already made actually. I've got two here. which you can see this one is on a base. It's made of cork, which was a new thing I started to do, to put them on cork bases. That's the cork itself, which is probably 4mm cork, I think.
Yeah.
Which I bought on Amazon.
As what?
End sheets of packs of 5.
But are they like?
They're
flooring tiles, right?
Yeah.
They're not sold as like specialty cork basing.
No, flooring
stuff.
tiles.
Yeah.
You're right, and they're the cheaper ones because they are thinner than they're thin. I think it's 4 or 5mm in size. So I've used that and cut that round for this one, which I've already done here with the round base. And then this is another one which we just sort of showed earlier as well, which is another one of their Mordanburg buildings, which is the complete one rather than the ruin.
Detail. Look.
Detail. So I'm going to zoom in on that detail now. So let's flip over. So here we go. You can see it up nice and close.
Out of focus.
Out of focus.
Okay.
I wish I could lock the focus.
This is the bit that I like. You've got doors and they move.
You've got doors. They move. And
pinned in.
The bit I like, which is you kind of only experience once you've built one, is I can use this. So if you have a look down here, this is an exterior panel piece and this is the interior piece, and you actually glue these in. And what that ends up with is like the whole thing becomes almost like a double-skinned box. And because of that, it's rock solid. So it's really well constructed, because many of these MDF buildings that you do get, you often find that they have a tendency to sort of maybe warp or be a bit, well, not weak, but just when they've got one skin, it doesn't give you the sort of strength that I like from it. This one's interesting in that you do get a basement hatch as well, when of course there's nothing underneath to go to.
Yeah.
So
right now, you could build it. Scratch build it. Let's scratch build one right now.
A dungeon.
Yeah, that's it.
Or a cellar. A little cellar with a little guy chained up.
I was thinking a dungeon and a cave.
That would be you chained up in the dungeon, by the way.
Oh. It's happening.
Yeah. And here's the other one where I've put it on the cork base. I've used some of these wooden tiles which I had spare from another Foreground set. This one actually you can see a little bit, I've tried to weather it a bit, which was a bit of a failure actually, but I did try also to paint in these lugs. Some people don't like the fact with the MDF train that you get these bits on show, like end bits. I think they're alright, they look like part of the construction to me, but I tried to cover that up with a tile colour. Fail really, it doesn't look that great. But as you can see, it's like the other one. Inside, you can take the roof bit off as well. You've got a hatch in there. I sealed off that window. And this is something Foreground do that you'll notice when you get the kits, is sometimes they provide spare bits in the set. So what you're seeing on that layout of all that pieces there, you don't necessarily have all single pieces. You might have double pieces where you might want to be able to seal a window up like that, or you could put one of the other ones in. What I've also done, because I've built several sets, is I've sometimes had the windows slightly different styled from another set, spare, and I've put them in to one which has a different window, like this one. It has that sort of archway style window. I don't think I've done it on these two, but I have before now. Mixed and matched them up for one reason or another, just gives them a slight variation. The other detail on this one is that it has its side entrance up to the front door there. In fact, one came with that other set there with the red tiled roof as well, but it was a separate piece, and this one I've sort of glued it all together. But I have still kept it separate so that neatly fits together. And again, like before, it's a nice lip in the design so that it hooks over there really neatly. Look at that. So it's a good feature. And that barrel, I haven't really done a very good dry brushing on that barrel, but that barrel is a resin piece that came separately. I can't remember who makes it, but I had it spare. Was there one around the other side?
Yeah,
there's a little barrel on the other side too. Just to provide cover if you're doing a skirmish game. Not so relevant actually, it's probably worth talking about between skirmish and battle type games like Kings of War, which are more of your large movement tray style gaming. This sort of terrain is more of a feature on one of those tables because you can't really move those terrain tiles around these. These are great for skirmish, your Frostgrave, your Song of Blades and Heroes, and other skirmish type games, because you get that extra cover. You could potentially put a model inside the building as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you kind of been alright with it because you've got everything tight to the sides.
Yeah.
Like if you can spread it all out, then,
and War Machine.
Really
it's useful for War Machine. Although War Machine doesn't really play on the skirmish side of it. I know they've got a new set of rules coming out. Iron something or other. Iron Guard. It's a new set of rules for War Machine where you can use your existing models and do it in a skirmish style. So you have maybe 8 or 9 in a gang,
as was intended originally, right?
I think
that's what I liked about it when we first started it. Was that it was having your Warcaster, couple of jacks that are going to be fighting out, and then maybe like a couple of troops, but then it went troop crazy, right? What was that? What was that term?
Like infantry machine.
Infantry machine,
because it did go. I think, to be fair, it allowed them to make a business, didn't it? And sell models, and their models are great.
Yeah, pretty models, yeah.
But at the same time, it distracted from what felt like a really refined small game.
Yeah, in all the games that I ever played, I don't ever remember like arm locking or like we maybe threw someone
twice.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was more likely when you had your trolls.
Yeah, I used to like that troll mauler coming in because I used to play like that because I used to like to sort of pretend I was the creatures by proxy, which is probably why I do miniature gaming from when I was a toy soldier boy, when I was 8 years old or whatever. I used to like the idea of one of those big maulers grabbing hold of something, throwing it, and getting into a big mosh pit of a fight. But actually, as the game progressed, it became more finessed, more competition sort of focused, and less of that sort of creative. So maybe that new game that they've got, which I'll have to find out what the name is and detail, we'll review it when it comes out. And it might work then for this smaller scale terrain where you want things inside the building and all that kind of stuff. And actually, while I mention it, while we're here, I shall scoot off to a box and get a figure to put one in there, because I think without seeing a figure in there, it's a bit of a pain. If I can get there, I've got some models over there. Creeping back into the frame, maybe if I go quietly, no one will see me. Speeding up. So
fast forward that bit.
We could fast forward that bit. So I've got a mix of models out here.
Oh, all very similar sizes.
And we'll
okay, different games.
Some different games, but yeah. So essentially, I like these big lip bases, which are the big lips of the big lips. Big lip bases, like you. But I do like them because they do have a nice look to them. I
think they frame it.
They frame them all nicely, and I know in the rule set themselves we've got seagull attack or something going on out there. But in the rule set themselves, they sort of represent a sort of buffer, gives you a range of attack. Not a range of attack. It gives you space around the model, because sometimes with the smaller bases, you've got swords and things sticking off the side, which doesn't give the model any sort of room to breathe, and things start to clash up. Yeah,
especially in games where like a lot of them used to be like bases had to be touching, right?
Yeah.
And then I think War Machine changed it, where they were like, oh, you've got to be within, was it half an
inch away? Half an inch away,
which worked a lot better, I think.
Yeah. So we can see one in there, and as you can see, these are the more modern heroic scale of models.
What's that, Freebooter?
Freebooter's Fate, those are. And I've put them on these round bases again because they're sort of my favoured base size. And you can see, obviously, I mean, you'd be a bit wild in the head to think that you were going to push models actually through the terrain. But the models don't fit through. Obviously, it's just a feature to show you. But on the stairs, they do. Go on then.
I was going to say, like, if it was like a D&D game where you had your scenery bits out, then you could always have like the door open or closed depending on whether they've actually physically unlocked it or whatever.
That's true.
Like,
That's true. You could say that you've unlocked the door, or you've broken the door down, or whatever you've done, and you can then flip it open for the sort of Dungeons and Dragons style of game. That's not got on there properly.
No.
But I've also got smaller size. Well, so this is the new larger Games Workshop style of basing anyway. So you can see that actually those dwarven bases are pretty big. Everything's got a lot bigger, hasn't it? Really?
Oh yeah, it's the. It's actually got a bigger footprint. Oh, it does. The old base kind of fits inside. It's like got an extra couple of mil on it.
It's a massive base.
What were these? Were these 25 mil?
I thought those were 33 across those bases.
Well, only there was some way of telling.
There's some way of telling with a... There you go, 30. Exactly 30. Because those are centimetre squares. And those ones are 33, I would say.
Yeah, something like that.
Interesting how much bigger these bases are getting. Anyway, the stairs are no good for anything, are they? Really? I mean, you could lean a model on them, but that's not going to be any good if you're a gamer that really wants a stairs. I've seen stairs in this scale done in a way where you'd have a hole underneath that's big enough to slide the base in, but you can't do that with those, so it's really like you're either up the stairs or you're down the stairs, or you could say that the skirmish character's halfway down the stairs if you so wished. So those are a few different models, and you can see they fit in, and then that presents a problem there in that you can see that one's in, but his actual mace, that's not a Morning Star, his mace actually comes up above the door. It would probably fit in, but you've got to be careful with models like that. If you're going to put the lid down on top, you could catch one of their weapons. That's another Privateer Press model there, and fits in neatly. Yeah, so just wanted to show that what models look up against it. We'll get those out of the way.
Doing it. Action, action, action.
Right, bit of tidying up now. What we're using is we've got, in terms of materials, we've got a really nice sharp blade, one of these Swan Morton blades, very good quality, used in surgery. And the other things we've got some cocktail sticks, because we use those to do the gluing, and we've used some Gorilla Glue. This is Gorilla Wood Glue. In fact, 4Ground do some glue purpose made for this as well, which is very fine glue. It has a nice sticky quality to it, like most glues.
Yeah, handy in a glue.
Handy, that glues are sticky. But I like this Gorilla stuff. It dries to a natural colour, which is always a good thing, which kind of like hides itself. And I've been using that recently. Otherwise, I've got in here a bunch of clips. In fact, probably a bit short on elastic bands, but elastic bands are very handy as well. And normal clothes pegs, the kind of wooden kind. There we go. And I've got some sort of plastic clothes pegs as well, and these are help squeeze the things together. Put some brown paper down so we don't want glue everywhere. Cocktail sticks, an absolute must, I think, for putting glue on. You don't want to use the end of one of these applicators on the glue to do it, but if you've got it on one of those pots, it's great. And I've used these, which are little cheap plastic pots where we've just poured some glue in there. It just saves having the glue pouring all over the shop. But that's it. So we're ready to rumble. You're on page
the first.
Page the first. So, and we're doing what looks like a bit of floor and a bit of side walling.
And so we just break out like.
So break out the bits you need.
Yeah. For each panel as we go, right?
Yeah. Good stuff.
Okay. So A1, got him. A2, got him. A3. Oh. I'll put him into good. Oh, fumble.
Sometimes I might put a blade along them, but generally speaking, I've never had a problem with just popping out on one side. I don't think anyone has ever broken on me. They just...
No pressure, thanks.
Actually, see, there you go, it comes out neatly.
And 3.
And then you need
the other one for that.
Yeah, that's the spare one that keeps escaping.
And then it's AA1.
AA1.
Which is this boy here. Do you push like towards the colour or away from the colour? Like,
I don't know, it's like a natural thing that I do when I do it.
That's it, just in the flow.
In the flow.
Right.
So you've got 3 pieces needed for that first step, which is the first stage of the building. Now this is interesting, just while you're building that. On this section here you can see that they're putting a demonstration of how you might want to use I'll just highlight it, just here, how you might want to use some crumbly bits of stone in the flooring, but of course you'd need to have mounted this on, say, a cork base for something to be able to be glued onto those sections, because that's the flooring. So worth noting that you can get a bit creative with these if you so wish when you're putting it onto a cork base. So back out and show what you're doing.
Oh god.
Have you snapped a bit off?
Snapped a bit off. Look at it though. Look at it.
Oh, I'm going to look at it.
Go on.
It is a long...
Look at that. Uh-oh. It's totally going to work. It's going to be all good.
It is, because this stuff does just glue together fine once you put it together. And that's the other thing I think it's worth saying. I think I've built about 20 different foreground kits. One of the biggest ones I did was the Stoic arms, I think they call it. And to be fair, when I was building that, there were probably a couple of bits that, even though I thought I was a master of the foreground laser cut materials, when it came to doing that Stoic arms, I did make a couple of mistakes and things got really glued. So you've got it right. The walling goes inside. You can see there's that funny little bit that snaps off.
Yeah.
Which is not a big deal, because
I think because we're going to stick it down on all these sides anyway.
You're going to glue it along the edge like that, so it's not going to be a problem, is it?
Yeah. Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I
yeah,
glue
go
now?
for it. So go for it. So this is how I do the glue, which is I get a little bit on a stick and then I run it along the edges, just like that. And what I might do, yeah, is go all along the edge. Oh, up, yeah, good move.
What a pro.
Shall I commentate on every glue?
Yeah. Oh yeah, on every piece. Oh look, he's done the same thing he did before.
Yeah, that was nice glue work.
Like, do you leave it overflowing, or do you?
Not overflowing too much. Just because it could squirt out.
Yeah.
But
exactly the right amount.
In the general course of things, a little bit of splurting out glue, I tend to leave on. Again, when I was building that Stoic arms, I had a few moments where I probably put too much glue.
Okay, so I put those on there. Do we clamp those in, or?
Well, no. What happens is when you put the other wall on, you'll find it just stands up.
Right. Okay.
So
good.
this is where early in the process, when you're starting out, things have a tendency to sort of fall onto each other. But there you go. So what I would have done there...
what I would have done differently?
What I've done differently is I would have put the glue all the way around the edge to start with. But that way you could have put all those pieces on at once and they would have held each other up.
Right.
And that's the other thing, which you always... You see, you're putting that on the wrong edge.
I'm not.
You're putting that on the bottom to stick on the paper.
Yes I am.
So, yeah, what...
No pressure, no pressure.
But what happens is sometimes you put it on the base piece you're going onto. Other times, like you're doing here, you're putting it onto the wall that you're attaching, and you made one of those accidents that I've done a million times as well.
I like that it feels like at least a dozen people are standing over me watching.
Count me as like a like a giant. Like a Game of Thrones giant with a big fat head staring over what you're doing. Don't forget the door, Hodor.
Oh!
I nearly dropped the iPad.
Okay.
So I'm showing this detail at single speed, and some people might say this is going to be like watching paint dry, watching this building go up, but what we'll do is we'll do it in stages, and I might speed it up. And what you experience there with that popping off, that happens all the time. You get little issues and you kind of have to just go with the flow. What I tend to do, again, just a tip, is I would run the cocktail stick or a fresh cocktail stick along the edges of those things. Sometimes multiple times, just like that. Use your fingers and it pulls off nice and easy. Yeah, just trim it along the edge. Look at that, beautiful. That's satisfying, that is. And then again, little bits don't matter really. once it dries, that glue does sort of dry flat anyway. If only if you had a massive blob there might be a problem. Structurally, as you build these foreground buildings, they grow with strength as you build anyway. So as you find you put more walls on, the whole thing gets more solid. I think I mentioned that actually in the intro section that
by the double walling.
They double skin them, yeah. So they're quite good like that.
Would you ever like shaving these little bits off with a knife or something?
I've never bothered doing any sanding down. I once clipped a bit off one, but I never sanded.
I'd be worried that it's going to take like the paint off, which is fine.
Yeah. Again, where I've made mistakes, I might have had to like cut a bit off to fit something that's wrong, but generally speaking, it's pretty flexible, isn't it? I mean, if you were the kind of you could be the kind of person that wanted to sand every bit to be totally perfect. I'm not one of those, but some model makers are a bit more perfectionists.
That's it. Panel 1 done, right?
Panel 1 done. So let's just check that it matches what's on the guide. There you go. Oh, can't even get it out. But there it is, yeah, there's the guide. It's now going to be in focus. And you can see there those bits they've popped out. What they did is they popped those bits out there. But we'll do that later, once it's a bit drier, if we want to reuse those and make a crumbling hole.
Okay.
But we could do that much later on, and leave them, sort of glue them on as like bricks that are broken.
Yeah.
Because I might want to model that onto the cork base when we get to that.
Yeah. And you don't really want to lose them beforehand, right?
No. So it's worth mentioning here that these are pre-painted. I think they do some of these sets when they're not painted, but
for massive savings?
I don't think there's a big saving.
No.
I think just get the painted versions where they've had a spray of the different colours on the different sections. And clearly what you can see is they spray panels and then they laser cut afterwards, because you can see on this one, if I move the marker over, you can see there's got burn marks on the paint. So they spray the flat panels and then they laser cut the gear through it. You've got another one of those delicate sections.
I do. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes.
You see, even I think the quality of these is amazing, because structurally you'd think it would just be popping apart in your hands, but
yeah,
that little one there that has a breakage that's meant to look like it's been torn and broken, it has survived the process. So if you think about it, what you're doing, just for the viewer's benefit as well,
yeah,
you're building the base and the side as like a box, which gives it that double skinning approach that they do in their builds. So that's how it's going to sit. So that B3 one, that one there, will go on the end there as a dry build, so to speak. Sits just like that.
Right. So am I building that onto this now? I'm not, am I?
No, you're not. You build it separately.
Okay.
Although that bit does get glued on afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, so you build it separately.
Okay.
And you see that's where those pegs come in, that you're doing there with that sort of pegging on the side just there. I think you've got that one the wrong way up.
You're right.
Yeah, because the pegs they match up at the bottom.
Yes.
That's cool. It's good to make the mistakes.
Yeah. Let me show you all the mistakes you could possibly make.
So now I've seen this, and you can see that there's that crack when it gets in focus in the bottom. That crack is what corresponds to that rubbly bit there in the middle. I'll just put that there. So that's probably worth us popping it out at this stage, so that, because now it's sort of a bit firmer glue. That's worth mentioning now, that glue drying times, because the MDF is so absorbent, it takes no time at all to dry, so you could very easily pull that apart that he's got in his hand there, but it kind of tears a skin off the MDF is the best way to describe it if you start to pull them apart. But I have been known to do it when I've made a mistake. I've had to tear things apart and put them back together afterwards. Okay, so there you go. So you've got some little brickworks that you can then put in as crumbly, broken up groundworks, or leave it open. So we won't put them on for now. We'll save these in our store of small bits and pieces, which will be used later on when we're doing the final, it's fair to say, call it decoration or super detailing. It sounds more modern. Oh,
no.
Oh my!
Oh no, it's all gone wrong.
See, what you've done is okay. Yeah, you were just practicing putting it together. I'll give you that.
So what do I need to do now? Glue all of these
I
sides?
would glue in there, but sparingly, not too heavy, because you're going to need to put some on the base, and then you're going to need to put some on those walls, so they glue on as well. But it doesn't need to be all over them, because it certainly doesn't.
This is the last time that anyone made that cheese and pineapple on sticks.
For
those 80s parties.
Cheesy pineapple sticks. I had one a couple of years ago. I wonder if they have them in America or other parts of the world. Cheese and pineapple on a stick. It's normally cheddar with tinned pineapple, which is disgustingly.
What? Delicious. Yeah.
Well, tinned pineapple is probably. I mean, it's probably worse than sweaty, isn't it?
No,
I reckon you're going a bit too heavy there. Only saying.
Oh yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. Because on those thinner bits, they will just squirt out, and you'll get it all on the panels. But
I'm spreading it.
splodge by splodge, this video will take you to areas of gluing you've never been to before.
Don't want to skip it. It's the best bit.
It is the best bit. The glue work. So yeah, that's probably enough, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably enough. He's going in.
No matter what, he's going in.
So you can just see how solid this thing. Look at that! Oh, we've got some beads coming out around the side. That was good.
That's it. I'm trying to get the all the action on camera.
Yeah, going round there. As I said, later on that area is going to be covered, but there's no harm in just making sure that you haven't got any big blobs coming.
Yeah, I figured that if you don't get the big blobs out, then it might prevent you from putting in the
panels.
The panels cleanly, right?
It will do a bit, yeah. Oh,
a fumble. Oh god. Oh, it's everywhere.
Oh,
I was just spreading the glue about.
I lost focus at that time.
Yeah.
When the glue was just splurging.
You never knew.
Look at that cocktail stick.
Oh, he's done this before.
Yeah, look at that.
A master.
A master of the cocktail stick. Actually, I'd say you're beyond intermediate. Probably expert cocktail stick.
Yeah, that's it. It's on my CV. Expert cocktail stick user. It's not on my CV. It should be there.
It should be, definitely. Get that on LinkedIn.
That's it.
And I'll click that cocktail stick use.
That's it.
Expert.
Everyone get on LinkedIn.
Give you the cocktail stick skill.
What's it called? Endorse.
Endorse the cocktail stick.
Right.
Bosh. Look at this. This is practically livable now. I could live in that. Well, my adventurers could live in the corner of there one night, start a little fire. There we go. So thank you very much for listening. I'm not going to finish it right now, but we thought we'd go through the rest at an accelerated pace. So, we mentioned earlier that we had things like these clips and stuff. So what you can do is, while you're working on this, you just put the clips on the side like that around the various areas, and it just means that the glue goes on nice and solid. And as I said, I've got different ones. These are really strong clips. They can go on as well, and they give you a bigger surface area of clippage. So what I tend to find is that when I'm doing these kits, I'll clip up a section like this, and then moments later I'll be on a new bit, and this may have had 10-15 minutes with its clips on, and then you just whip them off, put them on the next one. So you sort of put it aside, start working on the next piece, and before you know it, your clips, your washing line. Pegs.
Pegs, yeah.
Washing line pegs. Your pegs are ready to be used again.
What's?
I have some little tiny, little tough office ones that you can get as well. This is a super strong one, and those ones can often be used as well, like that. If you want a super tight clip, just handy on the edges.
Have they provided us with little glue spreaders?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's worth noting. There are MDF glue spreaders in there, and when I've used them before, they end up going really blobby really quick, which is why I switched to cocktail sticks. But they do provide these pop-out spreaders in there which you could use, so we could make use of those as well. But as you can see, it's quite similar to a cocktail stick anyway.
Yeah.
But it does have a nice
flat edge.
Edge for trimming off. Well spotted, actually. I'd forgotten about those.
Glad I'm here.
So we will use those as well. So I shall switch to that top-down view, and let's hope it's sort of vaguely in focus. Hello! Well, we've done some work. We've probably just sped that bit up, and you probably didn't see very much because we've figured out that it was too zoomed out really for proper visuals. But next week we're going to do a part 2, and we'll zoom in a bit more while we're constructing, rather than it just being this epic, speeded up, far away show. We'll zoom in a bit more. But what I will do now is just momentarily go into the. We've put some of the skin on the outside or inside this Tudor part here, Tudor panelling, which you see around all good British housing estates built in the last 20 to 30 years. And then also, I did one of the trapdoors in there as well. Still got a peg on the outside of this one. Richard's also built a secondary part there. So we've got, oh look, it's kind of, sort of one house. In the kit you get 2 houses, don't we? Or is it 1 house?
No, I think it's 2.
It's 2 houses.
On the front of the box.
Yeah, it's 2 houses in the kit, and they're meant to be modular like this, so you can sort of break them apart. Possibly have, walkways between floors. Opens about for gaming a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or you can have them as close together as you like. And you can see the difference there between a section that's had the panelling put on and one that's still the bare naked woodwork. So they're looking good. I mean, we've got some of these bits and pieces left over here, these stone panel pieces, and those are going to go into these sections, as you can see here. Move it around there, and you can put them in there as well. So far it's been fun. It's taken us quite a long time, but we got there. And we've got one another piece there. You can see an example of the pegs holding together that awkward bit. That was one that was a bit of a challenge, wasn't it?
It didn't lock in particularly well, and it's got like an uneven bottom. I'm not even going to touch it
no,
because I'm so afraid.
It's so afraid.
But trust me, the bottom is uneven.
How did you feel generally then about the build?
I love it. It's just like kit bashing, isn't it?
It's kit bashing, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking about more detail. Would you add more detail to them?
I hope that we'll do like a more intricate base, that's built up, and then we'll have like it maybe on like a little bit of land as if it's going up.
Yeah.
And then we can do like grasses, and then throw in like a couple of really tiny little silly details that kind of bring the whole thing up.
Well, like a little sword leaning against a wall.
Yeah,
a rusty
stuff
sword,
like that, or like a rat that's running through some place.
Oh,
or,
yeah, that would
do you know what I mean? Like, and then like maybe some water damage in places, and like all those
Bits and
sorts of
pieces.
little,
Yeah.
like maybe like a wanted flyer or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do flyers. I don't know if they've put any on here. But on some of them, like they did an in one, they did like wanted adventure posters. They just print them out, so you just cut them out of this and then you stick them right on.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet, but yeah, that kind of detail's great.
Yeah.
So we'll continue this possibly offline build, plus we will get back together to show it constructed, and then what we're coming up with the terrain base and the super detailing in another episode soon. So thanks very much for listening in, and we'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.